After studying this module, we shall be able to know the various types of companies, learn the various features of public company and private companies, identify the holding and subsidiary companies, understand a foreign company, and identify an illegal association.
We shall now study the types of companies. A company may be incorporated either by a special act of the legislature or under the Companies Act 2013 or 1956. Accordingly, a company may be 1. Statutory company or 2. Registered company. We shall now discuss statutory company. A company formed by a special act passed either by the central or state legislature is called a statutory company. Such companies are governed by the respective acts. Although statutory companies are governed by the provisions of their special acts, the provisions of the Companies Act 2013, which are not inconsistent with the special acts, apply to these companies. These companies are usually formed to carry out some special public undertakings requiring extraordinary powers and privileges. The object of such companies is not so much to earn profit, but to serve people. Though the liability of the members of such companies is limited, yet in most of the cases they may not be required to use the word limited as part of their names. Annual report on the working of each such company is required to be placed on the table of the legislature, parliament, or state legislative assembly, as the case may be. The audit of such companies is conducted under the supervision, control, and guidance of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Some of the important statutory companies are Reserve Bank of India, State Bank of India, Life Insurance Corporation of India, Industrial Finance Corporation, etc. Annual report on the working of each such company is required to be placed on the table of the legislature, parliament, or state legislative assembly, as the case may be.
Let us move on and discuss registered companies. Companies registered under the Indian Companies Act are known as registered companies. These companies may be limited by shares or limited by guarantee or unlimited companies. Companies limited by shares. A company having the liability of its members limited by the amount, if any, unpaid on the shares respectively held by them, is called as a company limited by shares. This is covered under section 2, subsection 22 of the Companies Act. For example, if AB Limited has a share capital of 10,000 shares of rupees 10 each, and A has purchased 100 shares on which he has paid so far rupees 6 per share, the maximum liability of A is only up to rupees 4 per share, that is the unpaid amount on shares. The maximum liability of A is up to rupees 4 per share, that is the unpaid amount on his shares. Also known as limited liability company, a large majority of companies registered in India belong to this category. The last word of the name of such companies is limited company or LTD in short. Companies limited by guarantee. Companies limited by guarantee, also called as guarantee companies, is a company in which liability of each member is limited to such amount as the members may voluntarily undertake under the memorandum of association to contribute to meet out the deficiencies of the assets of the company in the event of its being wound up. The guaranteed amount may differ from member to member. This is covered under section 2, subsection 21 of Companies Act 1956. The amount guaranteed by each member is in the nature of reserve capital. It cannot be called up except in the case of winding up of the affairs of the company. No charge can be created on the guarantee of the members. These companies may or may not have share capital. If the company has a share capital, the liability of members shall be of two folds. Firstly, liable to pay the amount which remains unpaid on their shares plus the amount payable under the guarantee. The guarantee undertaken by the members would be payable only in the event of winding up of the company. Also referred as non-trading companies, the objectives of these companies is not to earn profits. These companies are usually formed for the promotion of educational or scientific research or for any other kind of social or charitable purpose. Sports club, trade associations, NGOs are usually registered as guarantee companies. Unlimited companies. A company not having any limit on the liability of its members is termed as an unlimited company, which is covered under Section 2, subsection 92 of the Companies Act 1956. In the case of an unlimited company, liability of each member extends to the whole amount of the company's debts and liabilities. An unlimited company may or may not have any share capital. In case it has any share capital, it can increase or reduce its share capital without any restriction. Such type of companies, though permitted by the Companies Act, are very few in the country. The registered companies, whether limited or unlimited, may be either private or public companies.
The audit of such companies is conducted under the supervision, control, and guidance of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Some of the important statutory companies are Reserve Bank of India, State Bank of India, Life Insurance Corporation of India, Industrial Finance Corporation, etc. Let us move on and discuss private company and public company. Private company Private company, as defined by Section 268, means a company which has a minimum paid-up capital of rupees 1 lakh or such higher paid-up capital as may be prescribed, and whose articles of association contain the following restrictions: A. Restricts the right of members to transfer its shares. B. Limits the number of its members to 200, except in case of one-person company, exclusive of members who are or were in the employment of the company, that is, past or present employees of the company who are members in the company will not be counted for the limit of 200 members. C. Prohibits any invitation to the public to subscribe for any securities of the company. A private limited company may be registered with only two members. A private limited company is required to add the words private as part of its name. We shall now study about public company. Public company, as defined by Section 271, means a company which A. is not a private company, B. has a minimum paid-up capital of rupees 5 lakh or such higher paid-up capital as may be prescribed, C. is a private company which is subsidiary of a company which is not a private company, that is, subsidiary of a public company, whether constituted as a private company or public company, shall be regarded as public company. A public company must have a minimum of 7 members. The Articles of Association of Public Company does not contain the restrictions applicable to a private company. That is, shares of a public company are freely transferable. There is no restriction on the maximum number of members. A public company may invite the public to subscribe for its securities, shares, or debentures. However, a public company is under no legal binding to invite public to subscribe to its shares or debentures.
We shall discuss the conversion of a private company into public company. Section 14 of the Companies Act lays down the following modes in which a company which is private can become a public company. A private company may get itself converted into a public company by its own choice. In such a case, it must, number one, pass a special resolution for amending its articles of association so as to delete the restrictive clauses applicable to a private company only. 2. Increase the paid up capital to at least rupees 5 lakhs if it is less than that amount. Increase the number of members to 7 if it is less than 7 members. Number 4. Increase the number of directors to 3 if the existing number of directors is less than 3. 5. File within 15 days a copy of the special resolution for altering the articles of association. The company shall cease to be a private limited company from the date of alteration of articles of association and will become a public company. A public company can also be converted into a private company by taking following steps. Number 1. The articles of association of the company should be altered by passing a special resolution so as to include the restrictions, limitations, and prohibitions imposed by the Companies Act on private companies. 2. The consent of the tribunal must be obtained. Number 3. The company must file with the Registrar of Companies a printed copy of the Articles of Association as altered within 15 days of the receipt of the approval from the tribunal. Such conversion of a private company into a public company or vice versa does not bring into existence a new company. Therefore, the conversion does not affect the legal personality of the company, which continues to remain the same in spite of conversion.
Let us now discuss about holding and subsidiary companies. A company which controls another company is known as a holding company, and the company so controlled is termed as a subsidiary company. As per Section 287, a company shall be deemed to control another company in each of the following cases. 1. If it controls the majority composition of the board of directors of another company. The composition of other companies' board of directors shall be deemed to be controlled if it can, at its direction, without the consent or concurrence of any other person, appoint or remove the holders of all or a majority of the directorships. 2. If it holds majority of the shares of another company. For the purpose of control, the company should hold more than half in nominal value of the equity shares of another company. 3. A company shall be deemed to be the holding company of another company if another company is a subsidiary of the first mentioned company's subsidiary, that is, subsidiary of the subsidiary.
A private company, which is a subsidiary of a public company, is regarded as a public company. A subsidiary company cannot be a member of its holding company, and any allotment or transfer of shares in the holding company to its subsidiary will be null and void. Under Section 129, subsection 3 of the Companies Act requires a holding company to attach to its balance sheet copies of the balance sheet and profit and loss account, director's report, and auditor's report of each of its subsidiaries. Further, listed companies are required as per the accounting standards to prepare a consolidated balance sheet to give better information of the financial position of the group as a whole to the creditors, shareholders, and public at large.
We shall now discuss one person company. Under Section 262, one-person company may be a company which has only one person as a member. A one-person company may be registered as a private company with one member and at least one director. Section 3(1)(c). One-person company shall indicate the name of the other person with his prior written consent in the prescribed form, who shall, in the event of the subscriber's death or his incapacity to contract, become the member of the company, and the written consent of such person shall also be filed with the registrar at the time of incorporation of the one-person company, along with its memorandum and articles. Section 3. A one-person company may be either A. A company limited by shares, or B. A company limited by guarantee, or C. An unlimited company. We will now discuss about government company. Government company means a company in which not less than 51% of the paid up share capital is held by the central government or any state government or governments, or partly by the central government and partly by one or more state governments. Government company includes a company which is a subsidiary of a government company. Government company is a company in which at least 51% of the paid up capital is held by the government. Holding of shares by municipal and other local authorities or statutory corporations, which are the government bodies, is not to be taken into consideration for this purpose. A government company may be a private company or public company. A government-private company is not required to add the word private as part of its name. A government company is not an agent of the government, as it is a juristic person different from its members, the government. Let us now throw some light on specific provisions regarding government companies. The auditor of a government company is appointed or reappointed by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India has the power to direct the manner in which the company's accounts are to be audited by the auditor and give such other instructions regarding any matter relating to the performance of his functions as such. Now our area of discussion would be foreign companies. Foreign companies are the companies incorporated outside India but A. Have established a place of business in India, or B. Had established a place of business in India prior to the commencement of the Companies Act 1956 and continue to have the same. However, where not less than 50% of the paid-up share capital of a company incorporated outside India and having an established place of business in India is held by one or more citizens of India, or by one or more bodies corporate incorporated in India, or by one or more citizens of India and one or more bodies corporate incorporated in India, whether singly or in aggregate, such company shall comply with such of the provisions of this Act as if it were a company incorporated in India. Foreign company is a company incorporated outside India but having a place of business in India. We shall now discuss the various obligations of a foreign company. Documents to be submitted. Within 30 days of the establishment of the place of business, a foreign company is required to deliver the following documents to the registrar for registration: A. A certified copy of the charter, statutes, or memorandum and articles of the company, or other instruments constituting or defining the constitution of the company, and, if the instrument is not in the English language, a certified translation thereof. B. The full address of the registered or principal office of the company. C. A list of the directors and secretary of the company containing the particulars of their names, usual residential addresses, nationality, business occupations, and other directorships held. D. The name and address or the names and addresses of someone or more persons resident in India, authorized to accept on behalf of the company service of process and any notices or other documents required to be served on the company, and e. the full address of the office of the company in India, which is to be deemed its principal place of business in India.
Let us now discuss the association not for profit or licensed companies, where to the satisfaction of central government, an association is about to be formed as a limited company for promoting commerce, art, science, religion, charity, or any other useful object, and intends to apply its profits, if any, or other income in promoting its objects, and to prohibit the payment of any dividend to its member. The central government may, by license, direct that association may be registered as a company with limited liability without the addition to its name of the word limited or the words private limited that is covered under Section 8 of the Companies Act. Licensed companies are associations not for profit which have been granted licenses by the government. We shall now discuss the provisions of law related to such associations. Such associations on registration enjoy all privileges and obligations of limited companies subject to the provision of this section. The license is granted by the central government on such conditions and subject to such regulations as it thinks fit, and those conditions and regulations shall be binding on the association which the license is granted. It is not necessary for the association to which a license is so granted to use the word limited or the words private limited as any part of its name, unless the articles of association otherwise provide. A partnership firm may be a member of any association or company licensed under this section, but on the dissolution of the firm, its membership of the association or company shall cease. The license may at any time be revoked by the central government, and upon revocation, the body shall cease to enjoy the exemption granted by this section. A body in respect of which a license under this section is in force shall not alter provisions of its memorandum of association with respect to its objects, except with the previous approval of central government signified in writing. These associations are not required to have a minimum paid up capital as required for companies.
We shall now study about illegal association. Combination of persons for achievement of common objects is called an association. In order to protect public from the mischief of large trading associations whose membership may constantly go on changing, Section 464 provides for their compulsory registration. According to Section 464, every association consisting of more than 50 persons must either be registered as a company under the Companies Act or be formed according to the provisions of some other Indian law. An association not so registered is an illegal association having no legal existence. An illegal association is an association of more than 50 persons which carries a business without being registered under any law. An association will be termed as an illegal association when the association consists of more than 50 members, the association is formed for carrying on a business with the objective of earning profits, and the association is not registered as a company under the Companies Act or not formed according to the provisions of some other Indian law. Let us throw some light on various exceptions. The provisions of illegal association are not applicable in the following cases: joint Hindu family, Such a family can carry on family business with more than 20 members without getting itself registered as a company under the Companies Act or any other law. Associations not for profit, literary, scientific, or religious associations, clubs, welfare, charitable, and traders' associations, or formation of a common fund for investment by trustees in certain securities, etc. We will now discuss consequences of an illegal association. Section 464 is a self-regulating provision in law because the government has not appointed any specific agency to enforce the prohibition laid down by this section. Moreover, the offense is non-cognizable. It cannot be investigated by the police under the criminal law. The consequences are: 1. No legal existence. The consequence of the illegality of the association partnership is that its members have no remedy against each other for contribution or apportionment in respect of partnership dealings and transactions. An illegal association (a) cannot enter into binding contracts, (b) cannot sue any member or any outsider if the illegality becomes apparent, (c) cannot be sued by a member or any outsider for it cannot contract any debts, (d) cannot be wound up under the Act either at the instance of a creditor, a member, or the association itself. Members individually or collectively of an illegal association cannot bring about a valid suit against another member or any other persons for any contract made by them. Subsequent registration will not alter the position with regard to the past acts. Contracts made before registration cannot be validated and sued upon by subsequent registration. No cause of action can arise on the basis of an illegal association. Unlimited personal liability. Every member of an illegal association shall be personally liable for all the liabilities incurred by such business. It will be immaterial if the creditors had or didn't have any knowledge of the illegality of the association. Penalty. Every member of an illegal association shall be punishable with a fine which may extend to rupees 1 lakh. The penal provisions will apply only where a company is formed in contravention of this section and not where the illegality supervenes at a subsequent.
Let us recapitulate what we have discussed so far. Statutory company is formed by special act passed by central or state legislature. Companies registered under the Indian Companies Act are known as registered companies. There are various privileges enjoyed by a private company over a public company. One person company is a company which has only one person as a member. Government company is a company in which at least 51% of the paid up capital is held by the government.